Hi, it's Jemima. I've finally found some natural light and I have found my inspiration for what I want to speak to you about. I'm speaking very much to the people who are following their Dharma, the people who are undertaking work that's really important to them, whether that's creative or well-being. And I want to talk to you about why your manifestations have not come into being yet. And it's not that you're doing it wrong, and I'm not going to tell you how to manifest either, but I do want to talk to you about an overarching concept of being the biggest version of who you came here to be and why you can't get from A to X in one go. Okay, so bear with me. And just imagine, if you will, going to the gym and you haven't been to the gym for 6 months and you try to pick up the heaviest weights to do your workout, and they're so heavy you can barely pick them up. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. You're not going to get a workout done. You're not going to be able to keep good form. You have to start where you're at. And as frustrating as that might be for someone who has regularly in the past been to the gym and been really strong, you have to start from where you're at right now. So you have to take a radically honest look at where you are at right now. And you have to pick the next stage that is applicable to you. So there is a right size for you right now. And that is not everything you came here to be. That is not the culmination of your evolution. That's not the biggest version. That's the biggest version for right now. And that's why all your manifestations of, I want to make $1 million a month. Oh, I want to impact so many thousands of people. That's why you can't get there from here, because you have to take steps, incremental steps. Always when I do a live, I sneeze. I apologize. So, how do we get to the biggest version of who we came here to be? We go up in steps. We feel that kind of itching or like desire to move, desire to expand, and we sit with it. Sometimes it takes an external event, sometimes it takes a breakup, sometimes it takes a relocation or an illness even, or maybe a death of someone close to you, and that's your catalyst to go, shit, I need to move now. Sometimes that's what it takes. But there's a missing ingredient, because even when you've had the benefit of that catalyst, you still need a holding space, because homeostasis, because humans don't like to go into uncomfortable scenarios. We don't like to actually go into places that make us feel slightly edgy. Like our whole system is set up so that we feel safe, because that is a precursor to our survival. So if you move too quickly or too big too quickly, you get completely dysregulated and it's not sustainable, and you get what I call the ping back. So you go too far too fast, and then you get this ping back where either you can't hold what comes into you, or your system cannot hold the energetic load of expanding so quickly into this new version of you. So yes, sometimes you might need an external catalyst. Sometimes it will be self-motivated. Depends on your design, like who you are and how you do life. The missing ingredient that a lot of people forget about is the need for us to be mirrored. We actually even have things in our brain called mirror neurons. And if you look at the development of babies and children, you'll see how important they are. And they're still important as adults. We need to be mirrored. We need to be met. We need to feel like we are seen and heard. And we need to have that holding space, which gives us a foundation of safety. Because without that foundation of felt safety, it's impossible for us to expand from where we are now into a new version of who we know we can be. So these things are really important. And whether you choose to have a coach, whether you choose to have your partner, whether you choose to have a trusted friend, it doesn't matter who it is, as long as they can hold you in safety and they can mirror to you your deepest desires, your deepest intentions, so that you can actually move towards them without that debilitating sense of fear of moving out of your comfort zone, where everything is unknown and it's all unfamiliar, and it just makes you go into fight, flight or freeze. So this is just body stuff. Like, this is just how we are designed in brain and body. And if you know that you have a big mission here, if you know that you're a force for good, and you know that it's bigger than what you're currently doing, my suggestion to you would be to put yourself intentionally into a space where you can be asked the right questions, so that you can do some different type of self-inquiry, not the self-development type of self-inquiry, but the type of self-inquiry that's directed to, okay, so how do I get from where I am now to my true size? And what is the right size for me right now? And when I've done relationship coaching, this has come up lots. You know, the redirect, the idea of something not working out with someone because it was a redirect, because actually that wasn't the place for you to stay. And as painful as it felt, or as shocking as it felt, actually it was the right thing, because it was a redirect of who you came here to be. And the same is true in your soul business. If you're here to create something that is a force for good, and also to create your legacy so that it can continue to be a force for good with or without you, then often the iterations of that you meet along the way, that you actually create along the way, they might not work out. And sometimes that's the reason why. It's because you've not gone big enough. And that's a confronting thought. It's just like, oh. And it takes me back to that Marianne Williamson poem, where she says, you know, you ask the question, like, who am I to be so big and so bold? And she ends it with, well, who are you not to be? Who are you not to be that person? And as long as you're not shining, how are your people going to find you? And how are you going to be the biggest force for good that you actually came here to be? They're quite confronting questions. Not going to lie, they are, because they address your very identity. And it's the identity shift that will put you back in the place of potential and possibility. And when you're in that space, that's when you can create what is wanted, and you can create the biggest version of who you came here to be. So I really felt like I wanted to share that with you today. And if that resonates with you as however you want to term it, a leader of the new world, a change maker, a heart-led business, visionary, if you feel that this is something that you have gone through or are going through, I would love to hear your feedback, your comments, because this maturation process can be a very lonely process, and we each of us go through it, and how much better to be able to go through it together than to have to go through it alone. Thank you for listening. See you another day.